Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Rawl of the Dead, and today I wanted to show you guys how I edited this picture of Pennywise in Lightroom. And I actually shot that picture right here in my living room, right over here. I'll show you guys how I did this edit, and let me know what you guys think. Alright guys, so I'm going to start off here with bringing down some of those blues. I originally shot this at a white balance to give it a cooler look, knowing that I was going to mess around with it in editing later. So I'm going to take some of that blue down, add some yellows, and I'm going to bring the highlights up just a little bit. Normally I put highlights, but for Pennywise I'm going to take out. I'm going to add some more highlights. So I always like adding contrast to my images. And I'm going to bring up the shadows just a little bit more. As you can see, I brought down the vibrance as well, and I boosted up the saturation. And the reason I boosted up the saturation is to bring out a little bit more of his red in his costume. So now I'm going to go to the curves, and I'm going to bring down the middle curve just to bring a little bit more darkness. And I'm going to up this a little bit more, and then what I usually like doing on the left side of the curb is bringing it up to bring it more of a flat look. Now you don't want to go too far with this, just enough to get a nice kind of flat look. So the split toning is a little tricky. I love split toning, and here you can really like bring your images out. So I'm just going to see what works and what doesn't work. I sort of want to bring some slight blues to it, but not too much. I kind of want it to look like the movie a little bit, so I'm just going by the image in my head of what I remember how the movie looked, and I remember it was a little bit more contrasty and very faded, sort of yellowish kind of like with some reds in it, from what I remember. I could be wrong, but we're going to go with what I think looks best here. So I think this works here. I always boosted the saturation first and then I bring it down. On the shadows, as you can see, it's adjusting anything dark. So I like to boost it up and then bring it back down again. See, I kind of like this, but I think it's a little bit too much, so I'm going to bring down that green. But I do want a slight hint of green in it. And here I'm going to bring down any type of green. And this looks like it's not really affecting this image too much. But I am going to bring down some of that yellow. I think it's a little bit too much. And a little bit of the orange. And this is in the saturation on our HSL panel. So I always start off with saturation first. I don't really mess with hue or luminance too much. The red, I really want his hair to stand out. But as you can see, the two buttons on him, it seems like the red is really standing out in there. So I'm going to adjust that later. But for now, I'm just looking at his hair. So I always add a little sharpening and a little masking, and then any noise reduction, I put a little bit on it just in case. On this panel here, the lens correction, it's not recognizing my Sony 85mm for some reason. I don't know why. It's recognizing a different lens, so I'm not gonna mess with it because it looks like it's not making much of a difference. I mean, it's a little bit there, but I'm just gonna disable that right now. I'm not gonna mess with that. I'm not really sure why it's doing that. So I always add a little bit of vignetting on there, and I'm gonna boost up a little bit of the exposure. And I always like to bring it down and then bring it back up a little bit, just to see what it's looking like. Sometimes when I darken it, it looks really good. And then I might do a little dodge and burn from there. I like bringing up the clarity for this. I think it'll look good. And then here's where I'm gonna boost down those reds on the two buttons that he has there. So I'm just gonna desaturate that because it's just standing out a little bit too much. I'm gonna duplicate it, do it the same to the top one. And now I'm gonna do a little dodge and burn. So I'm gonna brighten up anything that's already kind of brightened on his costume. And I really love that. How he has that on his collar there. And so I want to make sure that stands out a little bit more. If you right click, you can just duplicate it and move your cursor the other way or wherever you want. And I'm just gonna do a little bit of brightness on there, not too much. I'm gonna duplicate it one more time, and I usually just try to look for a spot where it looks like it's gonna stand out more. So anything that's bright, so like right down here, it's a little bit bright. So I like that. I'm gonna duplicate it again. I don't know if I like it on his face. I kind of like that he's got a shadow on that one side. Kind of like that. That looks good. I'm gonna do the same on the other side, and I'm gonna leave that right there. I think that looks pretty good. I'm still trying to mess with that background. It still looks a little bit too blue to me, so I'm gonna go down here on the HSL panel. I'm just gonna bring it down. See, this is looking pretty good. This is kind of looking like the way I remember editing it the first time. But it's got a little more yellow in it, which is yellow and green, which is kind of what I was going for. This green doesn't seem to be doing anything, so I'm just going to leave it. Just going to mess with this orange, the yellows. And the reds, I do want more reds on his hair, so I think that looks good. I'm going to go to luminance and see if that does anything. I don't think I'm going to mess with that. I'm just going to leave it as is. Add a little bit more contrast. And I'm going to bring down this texture. It kind of adds like a little softness to it. Now, you don't want to go too far with it, just a little bit. And I'm going to add a little bit more clarity. The dehaze sometimes adds contrast and takes out contrast. I'm going to flatten the image just a little bit more. You don't want to go too far with this. It's kind of about where I leave it, so that is it. This is the before and after. Let me know what you guys think. Alright guys, so that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really loved doing this edit for you guys and showing you how I go about my process of editing in Lightroom. I was trying to replicate this to the one I did last year, and I love the way I edited it last year as well, but I noticed this time it's always going to be a little bit different. So I always go by how I'm feeling it. So if I'm feeling a certain way, I'll go that direction. So I hope you guys enjoyed it and got some insight on it. Tyler, who is the guy in the Pennywise makeup, is a great cosplayer. His Pennywise is just out of this world. He looks like the real guy. So if you get a chance, follow him. I'll put his link information at the bottom. And that is it for this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.